Welcome, everybody. This is the public hearing for the Tompkins County 2026 budget. We have 4 people that are signed up to speak tonight. If anybody else would like to sign up to speak, please go to the back of the room, grab yourself a blue form, fill it out, bring it up, and we'll get you in the queue. If you are speaking tonight, you're agreeing to some rules. I'm going to read the rules. I agree to a 3-minute time limit. I agree not to raise my voice. I agree not to use lewd, obscene, profane, slanderous, or libelous language, or speak or act in a manner that would tend to incite a breach of the peace. I agree not to speak about county personnel matters. Personnel matters include the comments about the job performance of named county employees other than elected officials. After 3 minutes, I agree to leave the microphone and yield the floor. Transferring time to another person is not permitted. I agree to be courteous and not make comments, gestures, outbursts, or other disruptions while other members of the public or legislature are speaking. I agree that if I cause a disruption and am asked to leave, I will leave the chambers. And before we start with members of the public that wanted to speak today, Budget Chair Mike Lane, would you like to say anything in introduction before we get started?
Well, nothing except we're so pleased to be here to a public hearing and to hear from our constituents and about what they think of what's been proposed as amended by the expanded budget committee. And we're all ears, and we haven't made a final decision on this budget and won't be doing that until the 18th of November.
Thank you. County Administrator Corsa Comfy, did you want to say anything in introduction?
No, I think it's been a very interesting and exciting process, and there's still a lot more to go and a few things to do. So I'm excited to hear what the public also have to say about the work that we've all done. And thank you all for your guidance and pushing me to some degree of a limit, but it's really exciting to be here.
Great, thanks. In public hearings, we generally, the legislators don't generally respond. It's a public hearing. So let us get started then. We're not running the timer tonight. You know, if you go on for 20 minutes, I might ask you to wrap up. First up, Paula Ioniti.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. I am here to advocate to restore OER's funding to its 2024 levels. And that was essentially at $540,000. I'm giving you a number in case you need it. But I want to talk about the impact of the proposed 18% cut for the 2026 OER budget. And it would help, I think, if we thought of OER really as an extension of the county's public safety initiatives. I think that treating it as a kind of standalone nonprofit is almost takes us outside of the correct framing of how OER actually serves the county and serves the constituents of the county. So for context, OER's clients have doubled over a 3-year period. They used to have about 500 unduplicated clients. They're now at about 1,100. And that's, you've seen me many times in front of this legislature talking about increase in homelessness, increase in vulnerability, increase in the cycling in through the criminal justice system. So if OER is the primary hub for providing services that help those people who are kind of at that intersection of unhoused, former justice system involvement, court supervision, or at high risk of recidivating, OER is the hub, and it is appropriate that it is the hub because a community-run program, I'm here as a researcher who has spent a good 15 years in this area, it is better that a community runs that program, a community-based organization runs that program than government. People have a different relationship to a community-based organization, and the majority of the people that OER staffs are themselves formerly incarcerated or have been at that juncture of vulnerability, so they know how to relate on a peer-to-peer, credible messenger kind of level, right? So that's the context, but I want to talk about the impact if you as a legislative body do not restore this funding, and that Dave is going to kind of probably piggyback on, but the primary one I want to talk about is Endeavor House. If you don't know where Endeavor is, it's in between the two Route 13s, and it's a very small house. It was the first project that Deb Dietrich actually bought before Sunflower to try to give people a place that otherwise had nowhere to go. And I want to talk specifically about the way that currently Endeavor House functions in relation to Sunflower. It is the only place you can actually house people who have the 3 levels of sexual offense convictions. And the reason for that is, if you know about sexual offense convictions, you cannot go close to a school and to particular localities. So that leaves, putting aside the funding issue, geographically where Endeavor House is located, it leaves it as the only place where, in a very small project, 4 to 5 people can actually be placed who otherwise will not be able to be served even by the other kind of homelessness service kinds of issues. Mike, you and I talked back in the day with some of those focus groups, right? The people who had such difficulty, if they had sexual offense convictions, finding access to housing after they've tried everything. So Endeavor House will have to be sold by OAR in order to maintain the other services that it wants to provide. And that means that those people in that very unique category that is extremely difficult to place and that almost nobody wants to place in their existing housing services, right, will essentially have nowhere to live, back into homelessness, back into public safety, massive issues, and probably back into homeless encampments where they are much more likely, without those services that OAR and supervision that OAR provides, much more likely to do that impact. The other thing OAR will have to cut as a result of not having this funding is essentially a place for people to store their stuff. Now that might seem like a really minor stuff, but I conducted at least 30 one-on-one interviews with Sunflower House residents and OAR clients who are currently unhoused. And for them, having a place for their stuff is tantamount to absolutely building trust. It is the thing that's going to make the difference of whether they actually trust you and will come back for other kinds of services and be part of that preventative services that OAR does for the county. In other words, prevent public safety issues, nuisance crimes, right? Things that essentially public safety hazards that typically happen for people who don't have a place for them to essentially put their belongings, which are extremely important to people who are housing insecure, unhoused, and at that juncture of criminal justice issues, right? So if you take away that storage, those storage units, which cost about $6,000, right, to maintain for OAR, it's yet another prong that puts those people back into that same cycle and not having an entry place for them to actually meaningfully interact with those kinds of preventative services. I'll stop there. Thank you so much for considering restoring the 2024 budget levels for OAR. Otherwise, we are actually deepening our public safety problems in the county, and we will see it manifest in the kinds of issues that I talked about.
David Sanders.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everybody. I provided the county legislatures a PDF earlier today, and I gave a paper copy. That outlines several areas that were covered in the last Board of Directors meeting of OAR, which was about 2 weeks ago. As you know, in 2025, OAR was cut 8.5%, or just under $50,000. This year was slated to be cut 18%, or just under $99,000. Combined, that's 25%, or $148,823. So 1 out of every $4. Unfortunately, we can't go forward without cutting programs. Cuts when OAR has grown 920 new clients since 2022. We ask a lot of our staff. Many of them do 3 different jobs. To put these numbers into perspective, last month in September, we had 759 walk-ins. That were 276 unduplicated individuals, compared to the intakes in the jail in all of 2024 that had 771. So an entire year, Our jail had 771. We had 759 in a single month. That's 40 to 45 people coming through our office, and I have 3 staff. One person calls in, I have 2. We do this without metal detectors. We do this without security guards. We do this with respect, rapport, and treating people with dignity. I've heard some people ask that we've been said that we don't bring enough outside money, and there was a comparison to TC Action. I think that's a poor comparison. OER is a very small, grassroots, local, and extremely adaptable program. TC Action started in 1964, federal program to stop poverty, the war on poverty. They have economic opportunity acts and plenty of eligible funding on a federal level. They have an $8.5 million budget. That's 10 times the amount of money we have. We have brought in $450,000 over the last 3 years. I wish all those monies could go right where I wanted them, but they mainly go where they tell me I have to do things. And we have $544,000 worth of grants pending for next year. Unfortunately, with the current budget, we have to make cuts to CIU. CIU is a great program. Numbers are relatively low, and they have some reserves. We're going to have to cut that program. We would have to eliminate Endeavor House. The board of directors has already approved this. We will have to eliminate the 5 storage units that we provide for people experiencing homelessness or incarceration. I understand you have horribly tough decisions. Unfortunately, so do we. If we could restore funding by $58,000, which would make our cut for 2026 $40,887, combined with last year's cut of a total cut of $90,826, we would be able to maintain programming at the levels that we have today. I thank you for this consideration.
Teresa Fulton.
Hi. My name is Teresa Fulton. I'm Vice Chair of the Tompkins County Human Rights Commission, and I'm here to request your continued support of the Office of Human Rights. The Commission has worked closely with the Office of Human Rights to handle concerns of the community and educate the community as to their rights, but these are challenging times, as you know. As I know you have heard, the office has been getting many inquiries, too many for us to handle, walk-ins, emails, calls, and most people now are being shunted off to Albany. We commissioners are entirely volunteers. We have jobs. We cannot handle the amount of inquiries that are coming in. We can't accomplish our own goals without a functioning Office of Human Rights with a meeting room, a phone, staff, etc. Hiring a director will be a great first start. But this person alone will not be able to handle all of the ongoing needs while also realizing the full potential of what the Office of Human Rights could mean to the community. This is not the time to ignore the fact that many of our basic human rights are being violated every day. I'm asking you to show the community that we care, we have their back, and to continue fully funding the Office of Human Rights. Thank you.
Sharon Brown.
Hello and good evening. I am Sharon. I am the Deputy Director of OER, but today I am speaking in my role as the Director of College Initiative Upstate, which is in danger of being cut if the budget goes through as proposed. A couple things. I unfortunately did not prepare too much, but I am invigorated by the information that Dave and Paula already shared about the impact that a budget cut will have on my program. College Initiative Upstate, we are an organization, we come together, we're a program that provides a future for people who never thought they had one. In our latest newsletter, it says, as of today, we have 38 students who are currently enrolled in college. These are 38 souls who did not think they would even have a chance. But because of our very small staff of 3 people, we are able to support them and remove the barriers to higher education. And when I say 38 people, I'm not just talking about those who go through the high school and 4-H program and are great and self-starters. These are people who are starting at an incredible incredible deficit. These are folks who would have said to us in their own words, if it weren't for you supporting me, I wouldn't be here. I've had one of the students say, this tutor is a godsend. If anybody attended our graduation last spring, that was the quote from one of our students who had just gotten back from incarceration into the county within 2 weeks of starting our program. He completed our 8-week course and is currently enrolled in college. That is a person who, without College Initiative Upstate, I couldn't say where he would be. And he's only one of 38 who are currently enrolled. I'm going to go on and brag a little more because these are lives. These are not statistics, these are not numbers, these are lives that are being affected negatively because as a community, we have to fight for every dollar that we get. And everyone here in the legislature they are holding to an oath to do the best you can for your community. So when you think about our budget, and you think about our public safety, and you think about the community that we want to build, to make it a place that people have chances, to make it a place where everyone feels welcomed and that they have a place to belong, and they have an opportunity to succeed and do their best, so that they can maybe disrupt different trends. Generational poverty can be disrupted through education. All kind of people who have come off of and are doing well after going through substance use disorders, they are given chances to make different choices and improve their lives. Additional students, we have 4 students who are enrolled in Masters of Social Work programs. Those are 4 people who didn't know that they could. Because of our humble staff, they are leaning into their own self-confidence and growth to know that they can get a master's in social work. We have one person who is at Binghamton University. We have a person at SUNY Albany in law school. These are real people who are directly affected by the decisions that are made in this room today and in the future. So with that said, I just also want to take a quick moment. I gotta read my notes over here. Because of the work that we do at CIU, we develop that trust with the students. As Paula shared, trust is everything. Trust is everything. If you have ever found yourself in a situation where you really felt alone, unseen, unheard, you felt invisible, like these invisible populations that we have here in the county, if you find one person you trust, that's everything. Sit with that. Who do you trust in your life right now? If things fell apart for you right now, that one person that you can trust with everything, these are the lives that we're affecting. Everybody in this room has gone through something where they needed to lean in and have their confidence rebuilt. Everyone. And so we help these students to help themselves, to build their confidence, to move forward, and go for that dream that they had that for whatever reason they got off track. We put them back on track. And we don't just put them on track, we stay with them the whole journey and we teach them how to help themselves. Last time I was here, we had students speak about their own journeys. And while the numbers are great, you know, and I get it, the numbers tell the story, but the people whose lives are affected, they are living the story. They're in it. And they don't get to choose whether or not, you know, their lives go a certain way. Sometimes they're on a track and that's the cards that they were dealt, and so they're doing everything they can to improve their lives, and we want to support them through that. Please, let's not take that away from our citizens that we are here to serve. Thank you.
Tylee Mugambe.
How you guys doing? The first time, and I come with something written, you guys say we can go longer. So I'll read what I got, and then hopefully I'll kind of ad-lib a little bit. As you guys many know, I'm the director of the Ultimate Reentry Opportunity Initiative, an organization that works to eliminate systemic barriers for people coming home from jail and prison. Another aspect of my life is I'm a life coach. And when I look at indicators for success for people matriculating through whatever system they're going through, one of those key indicators of success is self-view. If individuals have a self-view as failure, as incapable, as insufficient, as a convict, as a criminal, they will perform to that self-view. It is a miracle sometimes that people reach this point where they say enough is enough. And they do something like enroll in college initiative upstate. This negative self-view wasn't simply a byproduct of their own thinking. It was something that was implanted in them by the very institutions that were supposed to build them up, these structures such as families and schools. I know failed by school system, and also this negative talk that happens within families sometimes where we think if we say something negative to someone, it will reverse the outcome, and oftentimes that's not the case. I just happen to be here maybe as a success story because I joined the United States Marine Corps after leaving high school and found out that I was capable of many, many things. But College Initiative Upstate is that boot camp that prepares and builds people to recognize their true potential with positive talk. CIU creates a positive familial environment and makes sure that folks are plugged into all of the necessary resources to succeed. This past week, I had the honor of interviewing a CIU grad as part of the GARE conference. And one of the things that he addressed in our conversation was the level of support that he has from CIU to where he feels he's doing this not just for himself, but he's also doing it for the community that is supporting him to achieve these goals. This man just turned 51 years old and embarked upon this this journey to become a college student and a success. Many of the community justice administrators in Tompkins County that attended the conference were in shock and awe when they saw the person who was in front of them. I didn't know his history. I just saw him as a graduate of CIU, and so all these people remarking like we were totally shocked and surprised. They had to do triple and double takes and saw him and congratulated him. This man grew up without a mother and a father, raised by his grandmother in the streets, and is about to be, and is actually in reality right now, a true asset to his community. He's navigating several of the court systems, probation, making all these appointments and actually doing full-time school. And it's inspiring for him, and he's doing a great job at it. I know this budget is tight, but this work truly revitalizes the community. It makes Tompkins County #1 for tourists in central New York. I know you guys know that Tompkins County is #1, and it's not a mistake why it's #1 for tourists in upstate New York. And it's because of the environment that we create here locally with the work that we do. When you approve budget proposals by OAR, right, you are actually, as Paula said, supporting community-based public safety. And I think that's the way we need to reorient ourselves when thinking about OAR, is it's actually an arm of public safety when you think about all the work that they're doing. As a director of OAR, Dave Sanders has always been transparent. I know that he is willing to provide any documentation you need to verify that he and the people who work at OAR are doing what they say they are doing and saving the county a lot of money in the process. Again, this is about restoring the request that OAR made. If not, you know, $58K for the CIU initiative to keep that going. Again, we're turning negative self-view into positive self-view. That leads to community vibrancy and more community safety. Thank you.
So I don't have any more blue cards. If there was anyone else that wanted to speak, this would be the moment to say so. Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to call the public hearing to a close. And Mike, Lane, do you want to just tell us about the next steps along the budget process?
Well, we continue with our budget process, which started last April and has gone through quite a number of renditions. And now that we've had public hearing, and we've previously had a public forum, which we actually got a number of people to come and speak to us about things before we started voting on the budget. And now we will proceed to adopt a budget, and we'll be doing that at our regular legislature meeting on the 18th. Before that, it may go through, I'm not sure whether it's going through Budget Committee again or not. It may not. We'll have to see about that from our county legislature clerk. Have we made a decision? Okay, then she's shaking her head. So the next thing will be on November 18th when this legislature will decide on whether to adopt the budget. We have to do that by the end of the year.
Thank you, Mike. So reminder to everyone, the next legislature meeting is not on Tuesday, it's on Thursday next week because of Election Day, November 6th, and then November 18th, we expect to vote on the budget. Any other business before we go away for the day?
Just thanks to everybody for coming here tonight. That's been great to hear from everybody.
Yes, thank you. All right, we are done. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.